Okay, everyone. There was a story a few weeks ago, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, I had about Bar Louie, several locations in Michigan that were closing. I'm up in Saginaw County, but one in Flint, I believe, actually closed a couple years ago. Great Lakes Crossings in Livonia closed. Was it? And I have a former employee with me here. When did your restaurant? When did it close?
We closed Sunday, March 23rd.
Okay. So I posted on my Facebook page, an employee at the Great Lakes Crossing, Bar Louie, sent me a message and said, "Hey, Dave, I showed up to work and there was a sign on the door that said the restaurant, it's closed. We're all out of a job." Um, the same thing didn't happen with you, but you're a manager at the Livonia, you were a manager at
Mhm.
Livonia. What happened? You went in to find out that it was all coming to an end?
Well, so we got called in. The opening manager was already there. The opening cook and prep person were already there getting ready to open. This was about 10 minutes before we opened for the day. The new DO came in along with somebody. I'm not sure if he was from corporate office or not. Came in and told us to tell the prep cook and the line cook to shut it down, lock the door, and that we were closing for the day, and to call the other managers to come in. And
Oh,
when we came in, they told us that they were shutting down permanently. We needed to turn in our keys, and we needed to call all of our staff and tell them to show up at 3 o'clock for a meeting, but not tell them why. And me nor my other managers were okay with that. So we let them know, like, hey, you can come in at 3 o'clock. You can meet with these people. They're just going to give you a paper and tell you to file for unemployment. They're not going to give you a reason why. Or you can just not come in and do it. Like,
yeah.
don't waste the gas money to drive up here. Because some of us don't live right by it. We drive 20, 30 minutes to work. And if we're losing our jobs, why are we going to waste our gas money driving up there?
Yeah, it makes sense. Channel 7 in Detroit got a hold of or they did the story, and the company put out a statement, probably the same one you've seen. It says the decision to close the location is no way a reflection of you, management of this location, or the potential of the Bar Louie brand. Making the decision to close the location is never easy, but focusing our resources on higher performing locations was the responsible approach. That's probably what you heard, similar to that.
Yeah.
Okay. They mean, higher performing. I know they're big in Texas, probably in their bigger, like Austin, Texas is booming. Probably places like that, I'm assuming they're talking about.
Yeah, so for this region, they had Perrysburg, Ohio, then they had the Clinton Township, Auburn Hills, Dearborn, Livonia, Royal Oak. They shut them all down except for Perrysburg, Ohio, Clinton Township, and Royal Oak.
Those are still open. Okay.
Mhm.
And were you disappointed at the way it was handled? But also, I'm not in the restaurant business, and you said you know that this happens at times like this, but how was this different than, like you said before, when restaurants close, sometimes they don't give like a week or two notice because what were you saying before we were recording about
A
this?
lot of times people won't show up for their last shifts, or they'll steal. They'll take like the liquor or food like equipment, um, like throughout the last few days. So I understand why restaurants do it that way without telling their staff. Normally they tell management, so management can start looking. We don't live off of tips. We have a salary that we make, so we're paycheck to paycheck just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And with us not knowing, we had nothing to like lean back, like fall back on. We didn't get a severance package. We weren't given our anniversary pay or our vacation pay or any of our PTO. And most of us were saving up our hours for our vacations this summer. I had a vacation that I was supposed to be taking Sunday, and I have one in May that's already been booked. One of them was being used with my PTO hours, and the other vacation was going to be used with my anniversary and my vacation pay.
Have you been in this business industry for a while in your life or working in it?
Yes, I've always been in the restaurant business since I was like 14.
Wow.
I did take a break for about 15 years, but I worked in the kitchens in a school.
Okay.
So, and then I went back to the restaurant. So that's what I've been doing my whole life.
And like you said, they were I don't they probably only know profit margins are tight with restaurants, but in your opinion, the one location you were at in Livonia was doing well.
Yeah, I mean, we had our slow times just like anybody else in the restaurant business. This is a slow time of the year. But we were hitting our numbers. We were making a profit. We were doing really good. We just got new specials in that we were the only location that got approved for things.
Mhm.
They just sent us from corporate a whole bunch of stuff. We're doing a new menu rollout in May, and
Mm.
we were going to be the training store.
How do
So,
you, I guess, I mean, have you been through this before ever at any
no.
job? No?
I mean, I worked at the school and we went through, like, we were like a private contractor through the school, and the company lost their bid. So it went to a different company, but we didn't move locations. We still had a job. It
Okay.
just changed names.
Okay. What what do you take what do you think about, I know Michigan has a lot of struggles like with
Mhm.
restaurants and so forth. What's your take on the whole industry here? Like you travel to I travel to Nashville or Florida. It's just booming. Is Michigan still having struggles? I mean, it's tough to live and work sometimes.
I think Michigan is struggling really bad. I think a lot of times with in the restaurant business, they're struggling because there's a lot of people who don't like tipping, and they don't feel that they need to tip, and
Huh.
servers and bartenders, that's how they make their living. They don't really make that much money hourly, so they live off of their tips. And if they're not getting tipped and they're not making the money, they're not going to keep coming to work. They're going to look for another job, and then that is like a domino effect.
Yeah.
If they're not showing up, then there's not enough people to run the business the right way, and then you go on waits for food, you get bad service because they're overworked. But
Yeah.
Michigan has always been a little bit more, out of all the traveling I've done in different places I've been, where they just don't like to tip that good.
Huh.
You get some that are really great tippers, and then you get some that will run a bill $250 and think it's okay to leave $2.
No, you wow.
Yeah.
That that's ridiculous. Yeah, you've been talking to other people you worked with. I guess they're all they're getting unemployment. That's good, as you should be getting unemployment. But now I guess just got to look for other work. I mean, it sucks as it.
Yeah, I think one of my bartenders got a job like the next day.
Oh,
Everybody else is still kind of trying to find it. But again, we're in the same area that three other locations, very similar, shut down. So everybody's looking, and it's a lot of people, and it's a slow time right now. So
yeah. Last question. What advice do you have for people like I'm a worry wart. Whenever I've had a job, I always worry, the end is going to come. But I guess in life, what's your take on this? You never know what's going to happen. How do you deal with it? Or what do you tell your friends?
everything happens for a reason, and this door shut, a new one is going to open up, and it might be a blessing in disguise. The next job you find might be a lot better, but also make sure you're saving some money.
Have not maybe a backup plan, but be have a cushion or something.
Yeah, something, even if it's just a little bit out of every paycheck put up into a different account. Because you never know. That's the same day I lost my job, my son got laid off his job as well. So,
Oh my.
and I was like, I came home and I was telling him, and he was like, "Well, I just got laid off too." So,
Wow. Wow. Well, that's good advice. If anything can come of it and you're being positive, and that's a good message that we can send out to everyone. So I thank you. Keep me updated and prayers to you and your son, right? Correct.
yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.